Feeling trapped in relationships. This is Radical Self-Respect with Jared Mello. I have an ebook and an audiobook by the same name, Radical Self-Respect, Avoid Falling for the Same BS. It's great for people that have just had a breakup, maybe struggle with codependency, are trying to become more assertive, just gotten through a narcissistic or borderline relationship, or just generally trying to improve. The book would be great for you. And thank you very much to everyone who's been liking, commenting, and subscribing. I definitely appreciate all of your support. And please share my stuff because I think I might be shadow banned on here. Not completely sure, but sharing my content is a great way to get it in front of new eyes. So thank you very much to everyone who does that. And again, we're just talking about radical self-respect here. I've mentioned supplements, dating, relationships, mental health, personality disorders, etc. But quickly into today's video, feeling trapped in relationships. I had a subscriber request the other day about, they mentioned something I made in If You Miss Your Borderline or NPDX video that I had made. I'll link that in the description. But I mentioned that I get this trapped feeling in relationships sometimes, and it's one of the reasons why I won't mind dating sometimes borderline or narcissistic women, because I know it will end. And I know where this originates from. It originates from my childhood. And my parents were very controlling, and they're very smothering, and a lot of anxiety. And so to me, I've equated love with that kind of feeling of being controlled, of having someone be overly up your butt, having them be way too into your affairs. And so it's a terrible feeling. And I've learned to navigate away from those feelings where it's like a push-pull dynamic. There's part of this where it comes from, where it's like, love me, but then if you get too close, I want you to go away. I do have that, some of that in me, and it just kind of is what it is. And it's not exclusive to just relationships. I do this in all areas of my life. And this was another point of contention with my parents. My parents wanted me to be a good soldier and work a 9-to-5 job, start in the mailroom, and then by the time I'm 40, I'll be vice president of the company. But I'm not very good at just going to one office, making a fixed amount of money, and then praying and hoping for raises. That's just not me. I've always been a little more wild in my career choices too. I've played poker, and to this day, I do sales, but I do sales strictly on my time. I do roofing sales. I may be going to solar sales soon, but again, that's another kind of job where I'm going to be able to do it on all of my time. And I'll do some Chinese delivery on the side too, just for extra money. And I invest that money. But they're all things that I don't feel trapped, and I'm always free, and I'm always going around and doing what I want. So this feeling trapped thing is not exclusive to just my relationships, but like moving forward, what would I do about this scenario? Well, as I get to know me better, and I continually know me more and more each day, I'm not really looking for a long-term relationship or exclusivity at this point, and I'm certainly not looking for marriage. And so this trapped feeling, I don't really have to worry about it. And, I've had to turn down a couple ladies that wanted long-term relationships before, but I'm glad I did in those scenarios because it wouldn't have gone well. I just know it wouldn't have. And so when we know that, we got to say no. So I'm not like a people pleaser in that way anymore, where if someone wants something from me and I'm not comfortable giving it, I have no qualms about telling them, or I'll show them by my actions. I always appreciate what Rollo Tomaso says, the demonstrate, don't explicate. And that's true. Actions do speak loudest of all. And so this feeling in relationships of being trapped, if you feel that way out there, like, I get it, but I think a lot of it comes down to acceptance. Like, if that's just how we are, is that really such a problem? And I guess it all depends. It all depends on who we get that trapped feeling from. Like, if it was actually like a really good person that checks off all of our boxes, and yet we still feel the need to run away, I mean, okay, maybe that could be an issue, but I'd like to know, any of you out there, the questions you have about this issue. Like, how does it manifest itself in your own life, this trapped feeling? Have you left relationships you think you should have stayed in? Or did the woman that you were with, or the man that you were with, did they get really unhappy with you and hurt when you ran away? Or it's like the Weeknd song, Save Your Tears, where it goes, I'll run away. I'll run away when you love me, because someone did that to me before, and now I'm going to do it to you. Now, I don't think that's the reason why I do it, but there's just smothering, terrible feeling I get when I don't get space. And the thing about it is, as a man, it really helps me appreciate how women may sometimes feel when a guy's blowing up her inbox multiple times without a response. And I would hate that feeling. If I was the woman in that scenario, I would hate that. And as a guy, I know, okay, I can't be blowing up women's inboxes like that because I know how it feels. And so I'm really conservative now on how I even spend my attention with women, because they are extra sensitive to subcommunications. They're extra sensitive to any kinds of attention. Women, you'll notice, they really do. They're very careful with how they spend their attention. They don't do anything by accident. All of the attention and effort a woman gives in the romantic world to a man is extremely deliberate. It's not just like, oh, willy-nilly, I'll give this guy some attention. It's like, no, they are very conservative with their attention. They know inherently the value of their attention, and so they don't mess around with it. And this is something I think men do mess around with a little bit, partly because we have different mating strategies, but we should take a page from women's book in this way to be very conservative with our attention. Because when we look at the facts, a lot of times people really just don't deserve it. And so this trapped feeling I'm talking about, it really depends on each individual scenario, where for some people it might be a symptom of a little pathology. Maybe it's a symptom of a avoidant attachment style. Maybe it's a symptom of maybe even a personality disorder. But to me, it's not really an issue unless we're really hurting ourselves by doing it. So if a woman is checking off all of our boxes and we're in the market for a long-term relationship, but we get this trapped feeling, that's something that I'm not big into. You got to talk about it, but that's a situation where I would say, maybe you got to just lay down a boundary where, hey, sometimes I need my space. Sometimes I just need some time away from you. And that's another element of my trapped feeling, where I don't like to have to continually be accountable to someone else permanently. And again, a lot of this comes from my upbringing, where we were conditioned from Disney to believe in the happily ever after marriage soulmate thing. And one of the things that marriage soulmate thing implies is once you're married, that's forever. And so I find a woman, and then you're going to be in a committed relationship, and you're only going to get with just that person. To me, that's terrifying, because I've been single for so long that dating and trying to find women and just attracting them to myself is almost a hobby at this point. And if I would have to give it up, I feel like I'd be giving up one of my biggest hobbies. And I don't like doing that. Now, granted, this could be a problem, certainly, if someone's going to expect an exclusive long-term relationship from me. But so far, it hasn't been an issue, because I haven't turned down anyone that really checked all my boxes and I was really hurting myself. So could that situation arise in the future? Absolutely it could. But as of now, it hasn't. And I've learned for myself, a lot of the previews in my head that I play through never get to theaters. Meaning I'll think about a lot of different things, and I'll speculate about how a lot of things will go, and then it never even comes close to happening. And so what I try to do now is I just live in the present, and I deal with the issues as they come. I look back sometimes to learn lessons and to take a look at my side of the street. And I've recognized that, yeah, one of the things I do in certain scenarios is I run. I run and I get outside of that trapped feeling. And it hasn't happened for a little bit now, but I'll cross that bridge when it comes again. And again, I'm not looking for an LTR. I'm too busy doing my work stuff right now. I'm trying to get my finances down. And often, a lot of times, women want more attention and more of my time than I'm willing to give. And I'm not willing to give that up at this point because I know I'm not where I want to be. And I have certain plateaus I want to get to before I'm even open to wanting a long-term committed relationship at all. If I even do, because I'm not even sure I do anymore. I know marriage is definitely out of the question, like I said, but I'll deal with these bridges when they pass. And unfortunately, there's a lot of women out there that they want too much time. They want too much attention, it seems, because there's a dynamic right now where I feel like the majority of people that are single for a reason. And they maybe have a personality disorder, mental illness, insecure attachment styles, or just overall, they're not happy single, and so they're always rushing into the next relationship. And I think the majority of people are unhealthy / not worthy of a committed relationship. And so there's this thing out there where, as a guy, if you're trying to deal with those kinds of women, even if you try to get into a committed relationship with them and they ask you, you still shouldn't. You still shouldn't because it's not going to end well. The pool of healthy single people of both sexes, really, is pretty small. It's a pretty small group that don't have extreme red flags that should make us run. And so this is another element that makes it more difficult because, like I said, a lot of these women out there, they want a lot. And that's just not something I'm comfortable giving, especially very soon. But a lot of them, they're needy or even codependent. And what's going on is they're expecting someone outside of themselves to give them something that only they themselves can give themselves. And so when people cross that line of when they're trying to look for something in someone else to give them something that they should be looking for in their own lives, they should be looking inward towards themselves and into their own lives with their friends, their careers, their hobbies, etc. But instead, they're trying to seek it out externally. And when they do that, they are too needy. They're not independent anymore. They're more emotionally dependent. And again, someone who's emotionally dependent on me, that's not going to feel very good. And I'm going to run out of there very fast. And again, not all women are like that, but a lot of them can be. And granted, when a relationship's going well, a woman will be the person that should be wanting to give more effort and should be the one trying to get our attention. But a lot of it comes down to how are they going to go about it? And how are they going to go about it when they don't get their way? And so when they don't get their way, are they going to be chill? Are they going to understand that as men, we need to be on our mission and purpose? We're going to be really busy. And if we want to be like a high value man, it means our time is going to be very valuable and that we can't just be wasting our time texting all day or meeting each other all day, every day, and spending time with one another. That's not how it's going to work. It's not how it's going to work. And so a lot of women that they want too much, I don't feel guilty at all when I get the hell out of there. Because when I feel trapped, it's partly it's for good reason a lot of times. And probably almost every time it's been for good reason because the other woman had something going on that I couldn't fix for her, but she was looking for something externally to fix her. And we all know that's not how it works. Now again, if this was really an issue for me, I've made do. I've accepted who I am and what I am. And I feel like when we accept who we are, we accept our limitations and our strengths and our weaknesses, we're able to find things that work for us. So I've been able to get my work life down where it seems a little chaotic, but the chaoticness gives me peace on the inside, strangely enough. And in my romantic world, I'll date and I'll hang out and I'll do whatever, but at the end of the day, I'm responsible to no one except for myself. And that's how I like it. And it hasn't been an issue lately where, there's been people asked me before to be in long-term relationships, but I don't say yes to that right away, especially if I don't really know them too well. It's like, when someone does that, it says more about them than it does us. And what we do, if we're not really sure how something will go, wait and see. Wait and observe. Let their actions do the talking. And more often than not, when I let a woman's actions do the talking, I see an abundance of red flags. And so it's another reason not to be in a relationship with them. And again, it's hard. It's hard getting that percentage of women that are single and actually healthy. It's a smaller number than ever right now because there's so many red flags out there. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but all we can do is take care of our side of the street and try to be the best versions of ourselves we can. When we do that, chase excellence, try to become the highest value man possible. That's all we can do. We do that, everything else will fall into place. And so that's why I don't get too concerned about the trapped feeling, because I'm just on my mission. Relationships used to be my number one. It used to be the thing I put above all else. It was really a love addiction is what I had. But finding red pill awareness has actually really diffused my love addiction because I can't see it in the same way anymore. I changed the frame in which I look at it, and now I'm focused on my mission and purpose. Yeah, I still want women. Yeah, I still want sex, but it's nowhere near as much of a priority as it used to be. And so I chase my mission and purpose, and everything else falls into place. And I feel like if I am supposed to be in an LTR one day, the woman will ask me, and perhaps I won't get that trapped feeling anymore. Perhaps the trapped feeling is just one of my internal indicators that this is just not a good thing. This is something that shouldn't be. And again, and some of it still is probably my shit. But a lot of it could also be my internal warning system that warning me, like, this woman's not good. She's not a good person to commit to. She's likely to cheat, or she's likely to split on you and love you one day and then not love you the next. And sometimes our gut is trying to tell us something. Sometimes our gut is like, get the hell out of there. And I heard that with narcissistic parents too and their children. And because for the longest time when I was growing up, I didn't feel comfortable being myself around my parents. Something about it, I didn't want to be fully me. And then I saw a meme one day that said, when we're uncomfortable showing our true selves to someone else, there's probably a good reason for it. And I'd never thought of it like that before. I always just thought it was my fault. Like, what's wrong with me that I don't want to be myself around my parents? What's wrong with me so that I'm afraid to be who I really am with them? And then I saw that and I was like, there's probably a good reason why I'm afraid. And I looked a little deeper and I found the reason. The reason was they were constantly guilt and shame me for being me. And when I try to express to them the things I like to do, I try to express to them like the directions I wanted to go and how I wanted to do it, all I would get is pushback. And it would turn into a fight. And I didn't put two and two together for a while, but that's exactly how it was. And so I know that was my internal warning system telling me, like, maybe you don't want to tell them what's going on because you're not going to get support. You're not going to get encouragement. You're going to get guilted. You're going to get shamed. And it's going to pull you down. And as a man in particular, that's one thing we're going to have to go through in our lives is letting go of our parents' expectations of us and living for ourselves. Being the person that we're going to do what we need to do for us, regardless of what our parents think about it. Because we're the person, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror each day. We can't let them and their opinions and their expectations control what we do. And we can't change what we're going to do for them, or we're setting ourselves up to be unhappy. And this is what controlling parents don't understand. They don't understand that even if they get to control someone, you're shortchanging your children by doing that. The goal of a parent should be help your person become your kid become the most them they can be. Help them to explore their talents, their dreams, their interests. And see where it takes them, and then find something that adapts to how they are. I'm not saying, oh, just follow your passions and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's not always realistic. But parents don't seem to understand sometimes that controlling method is not the way. It's not the way to go, because it inhibits them, and it has your kids living the way you would live, which is not the same as how your children will probably live. Like, we have to be us. We have to authentically be ourselves and meet whatever potential that we have. And we got to do that by removing the external influences and the people that are trying to control us, and do what's best for us, regardless of what others think. Practicing radical self-respect. And that's how it's done. And for a lot of people, it's very difficult. But I've learned to tune it out. Like, I try to tune out people that are not going to really encourage me. Because there's two different kinds of people out there. The kinds of people that will call me out in a loving way because they actually want to see me succeed. And then there's the kinds of people that just think what I'm doing is wrong, and they'll try to discourage me in that way. Or they'll be jealous of me, and so they'll secretly like to see me fail because seeing me succeed makes them feel less. In both of those scenarios, like, we got to know the difference. I surround myself with people that want to see me succeed and call me out because they care, but not because they want to control me, or not because they're jealous of me. And so these are all the things that happens. And so again, this is just my thoughts on the being trapped feeling. And I know I might have been rambling a little bit here, but it's how it is for me, and I found a way to make it work. I'm making it work for me. I'm accepting my nature for what it is. I'm accepting my need to not be trapped. And I'm single, and I'm not trapped in a workplace either. And I'm shooting towards financial freedom. So I'm working with it. I'm working with what I got. And I recommend everyone else do the same for them. And what works for me won't always be what works best for you either. So I believe in a very individualistic approach. So if I'm talking to someone, I'll tell them, hey, you got to look inward and see what's best for you. Because what works best for me might not be what works best for you. So those are my thoughts on feeling trapped. Please let me know what you think about this video below. I'd like it, dislike it, etc. Tell me maybe one of your stories about feeling trapped. I'm sure I'd be able to relate, and I'm sure other people would be able to relate too. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.